And we are live. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thanks for joining. Let's get started.
Yes, we do have a good one today. I think we're just going to introduce ourselves to the ones that don't know us yet. Then we'll get through the favorite Corona topic, the new changes, real quick, everything. And then, then we're going to hit all the remaining questions, everything for expats coming to Germany. We went through your questions. And of course, if anything comes up right now in your head, please type us in the chat and we'll be happy to answer.
Yes. So, like he said, chat box, that will help us. Any questions you have that you want answered now, please put them in the chat box. If you would like to set up a consultation with us, and you can always email us at info@expatlauncher.com and go from there.
Yes.
I guess we should have said who we are. I think most of you coming on know who we are, but I'm Tammy with Expat Launcher, and this is
Yanis with Expat Launcher, and we do offer visa and residence permit services and health insurance consultations for expats moving to Germany.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's start with the elephant in the world, I guess we can call it. I don't know. I'm so sick of talking about it, but Corona. So we're going to talk specifically tonight about the changes recently as of Sunday, August 15th for U.S. citizens, because most of our clients right now are based in the U.S. Other countries have, the countries that we deal with really haven't changed so much. But okay, so with U.S., it is now a high-risk area, and I don't even know if it's now, but it is considered by Germany effective on Sunday. It's a high-risk area. And what that means is that there are going to be restrictions for entering. The good news is that if you've been vaccinated, you still have the right to enter Germany coming from the US. But now it's going to go back to the regulations of needing to do the digital registry, proof of vaccination, all of those things. So you don't have to quarantine. You just don't have unrestricted travel, meaning you can just, come in. You still have your 90 days. Yeah. Everything's more or less the same. What I would suggest for anybody coming from the US in the next few weeks, next month, is to check to make sure that for US, that it doesn't change from high risk to a virus variant area. If the US turns into a virus variant area, then that means that travel restrictions will change dramatically. So keep an eye on that.
Not just for the US, so for every country, check whether your country is considered a high-risk area and a virus variant area, because that might limit your access to come into the Schengen area and Germany specifically.
Yeah, it's changing so fast. I mean, I know that there are the Institute, the Robert Koch, I'm going to say it right, wrong, probably say it wrong, post-weekly report. So there's definitely not a shortage of finding what's happening. However, you need to check with the restrictions coming in as well as your airlines. So we do recommend, if you are coming here and you have been fully vaccinated, meaning 14 days fully vaccinated before your departure date, that you also do get a negative or a Corona test to prove that you don't have Corona. Right now, it's not something required for fully vaccinated people, but we highly recommend it because sometimes airlines are requesting it. If you have layovers going through other countries, just why not? It's easy to do, get the Corona test, and you're safe going through customs. So if you guys have questions about that, please put it in the chat box and we'll answer them for you. That would be the main thing. Takeaway right now with Corona news is that it is on Germany's, list now is back to high risk, and that creates some changes for people entering. Okay.
Okay, let's get to the more fun things.
Oh yeah, we already talked about the Corona test, so we're good.
it is still possible to come to Germany, and especially if you're fully vaccinated. Also, if you're not vaccinated, but then you just have to quarantine.
Yes, and what's happening if you aren't vaccinated from the US, there are still going to be some restrictions for who can enter. So we would have to check that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more COVID?
No.
No, good. We will go now over the questions that were sent in to us over the course of the last few days. Obviously, you guys that are here live, if you see this, just write us in the chat and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Otherwise, we just go over what we have.
Sure.
And you just listen.
Okay, so first question is, what do I do first when I arrive? If I don't have a job or a place to live? Good question.
Well, first you need a roof over your head. So there's two ways you can play this. Obviously, you could just stay in a hotel at first. What we typically recommend, if you are not able to secure a long-term place in Germany, get a furnished apartment on Airbnb, Home Company. There are various websites. We actually have a tutorial on that on our YouTube channel, so check that out. Get a furnished apartment for the first, let's say, 3 months.
If you can register it.
And make sure you can register it. Exactly, good point. Then you're good. You can start the application process. You have that apartment issue not on top of your mind for the beginning. It's a little bit more expensive, but that will give you time to find a furnished place and then, an unfurnished place, a long-term place. It will just buy you some time. And then that typically works the best to have a home base.
Yeah, and if you are coming here where you can't find a place that's going to be 2 or 3 months that can be registered, then what a lot of expats do is they come the first 2 weeks, 30 days and get a hostel, Airbnb, hotel, something, just to have a roof over their head, find more permanent housing, whether that's 2 or 3 months or longer, while looking for jobs. And then in that period, they should be able to find something that they can register.
Yeah.
But those are the two main important things. So obviously, roof over your head is most important. Simultaneously would be looking for jobs, because you need the job offers before you can apply for your permit. So you'll be busy in the first few weeks, 30 days. Okay, next question we have is, can you explain health insurance for freelancers? I can, but he's the licensed health insurance broker.
Health insurance for freelancers. So in Germany, what you have to know is there are two different insurance systems. There are public insurances and private insurances. Mainly, this is just a rule of thumb. There's a lot of exceptions to the rule, but as a rule of thumb, employees, students, unemployed, children are in the public health insurance. Freelancers and employees with a high income are in the private insurance. So typically, if you come as a freelancer to Germany from a non-EU country, you will be in the private health insurance system. That's not necessarily good or bad. There's pros and cons to both systems. Sometimes there are a few exceptions where freelancers can get into the public system. That is, for instance, if you have previously been in the public system because maybe you studied in Germany previously, or you are married to someone who is in the public system. If you were in a different EU country and you already got insurance in a different EU country, then you can get into the public system. In basically all other cases, you will be in the private system, and that will be 95% of you.
Yeah.
So, and then in the private system, there is just a wide variety of options, and there's stuff from super cheap to super expensive, from very, very basic, cheap coverage to full on, all bells and whistles. And at the end of the day, that would be something then that we could determine on a personal basis. And then if you're interested in a health insurance consultation, we offer those for free. You can just book them on a homepage at the Contact Us, set a call up, and then I'll be happy to speak with you about what you need and what works best.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to be able to speak to Giannis, because there's also, well, not only because you're speaking to him and he knows what he's doing, but no, really, the different foreigners offices have different policies and different requirements that also he can go over with you. So he'll go over your personal needs, what you need to cover yourself for health insurance, as well as what the local offices are requiring you to have. And sometimes that's not going to be the same. In most cases, right? It's not going to be the same what you need versus what the insurance or visa office needs. But that's why it's really important to set up the proper health insurance.
That's right.
Okay. Any questions? Please put them in the chat box if you can. Did I just sing that? Okay. So next one. Can I be a freelance? Or I'm assuming that's freelancer. Can I be a freelancer and work for one client full time?
No. Freelancers or self-employed are considered that free or self-employed. If one very important criteria for being a freelancer is being independent from any one client. So you have to make sure as a freelancer, as a self-employed person, that you're not dependent on one company, one person. That could mean that you don't spend all of your time working just for one client. That could mean that not all of your income or 90% of your income can come from one client. That could mean that no one is allowed to tell you where you have to be and when. If you get the majority of your income from one client, and if you work basically all of your time for one client, that could be considered fake self-employment, and that would be a huge issue. Then you would be required, or you could be required, to pay contributions into the German social systems that every employee has to do. That's actually a legal offense. You could be tried for that. So it's very important that you space yourself out and you have a handful of clients that you work with.
Yeah, throughout the length of your permit.
What is okay are short-term projects. So if you say, normally I have 3-4 clients, but for the next month I have this big project from one person coming in or from one company coming in, and I'm only going to work for them for 1 month, that's no problem. But they're going to look at it over the course of a longer time period, let's say a year, 2 years. And if then that short-term project turns into a 2-year project where you're only working for one client, that's an issue.
Yeah, that's really, and when you apply for the freelance permit, you have to submit a minimum. Some offices require 3, but a minimum of 2 letters of intent, and it's more or less for that reason, right? So you're seeing that you have multiple job offers that they're interested in you, so you aren't solely working for one source. Okay, we do have a question that came in regards to health insurance. Is there a limit to stay under private insurance on a basic plan? Do you know what that means with the basic plan? Or?
Not 100% sure if I'm understanding that right. I read that as, is there a limit of is there specific requirements that you have to stay under when you have private insurance? And the basic requirements, it's not a money thing or anything. The basic requirements are that you need to have hospital coverage, you need to have outpatient doctor coverage, you need to have basic dental coverage. It doesn't have to be full dental, but basic dental, and you need to have pregnancy coverage. Also, the insurance company needs to be recognized by the German Financial Authority, BaFin. also very important that it's a lifetime plan. So that you have an insurance that you technically can stay in until the end of your year. Those are the main requirements. If it's insurance that's limited to a certain time period, that could be an issue if you plan to stay long term. So I hope I got your question right. If not, then please write in the chat and then maybe specify, and then I can get to that. Maybe I just talked about something you didn't even want to know. It happens all the time.
Okay, so let's go to the next question until maybe there's other comments in there.
Also, for all the others, of course, write us your questions in the chat if you have any. And while you're at it, click subscribe and like. It helps our YouTube channel. Oh, a low cost plan. Okay. Yeah. So there is no minimum that you need to have. At the end of the day, they're going to want to see confirmation that it checks those boxes, those requirements I talked about. They're not asking you how much you pay. In reality, the really cheap plans most likely will not check all those boxes. So I can't give you an exact number of what that is, what you should expect to pay for a plan that fulfills the requirements, because it depends on you, your age. But the cheapest plans that you see out there do have some issues attached to that. You get what you pay for at the end of the day. But no, the foreigner's office doesn't say you have to pay more than 100 euros or something like that. They want to see the requirements fulfilled.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some in some foreigners' office that maybe that have questions on deductibles, but that's a whole different thing, right? Like some,
yeah, there's
different
foreigners' office have different requirements, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So next question. I'm married to a German citizen. Can I work? Okay. So yes, typically in most cases, you're allowed to work unrestricted, right? What we suggest is to check your permit card and the Zusatzblatt. Maybe you can say that in German better than me. But it's a supplement sheet of paper that you get with the permit card. And if there's any restrictions on it, it will be on that piece of paper. It's a little trifold piece of paper. But most, if you are, in fact, you have a permit to stay in Germany, married to an EU citizen or a German citizen, you do have the right to work unrestricted. If you're freelancing, then what that would mean is you would need a tax number, but you're free to do employment or any type of work, right? But check the documents that you have to make sure it in fact says that on there. Okay, let's see. Next question is, can I register my new address online? I got this actually a few times this week, so this is actually a good one. No,
the first time you register, you have to do it in person. I'm not 100% sure why they have that requirement, but it's a legal requirement. Maybe they're afraid that people from abroad will just get residency in Germany for whatever reason without ever being here. So
that could be it. Yeah.
The first time you do it, you can't do it by mail. You can't do it digitally. You actually have to show face in the registration office.
Show them your passport, show them it's you, kind of thing. Super easy. It is really, once you get there, a lot of cities, it's really hard to make an appointment, but once you get it, that process is really going to be the first kind of German bureaucracy you have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And that part of it is pretty smooth for the most part. It's pretty smooth going in quick. Okay, next question. Same that relates to registering, or rather deregistering, I should say. Should I deregister my apartment if I travel and then come back? So I'm assuming what this means is, should I deregister while I'm traveling and then come back and re-register again? No, I would say no, but I would need to know the particular, like the situation that's happening. For example, if your permit is expiring, you're planning to leave for, 90 days, and then maybe come back in 3-6 months or something, then yes, you should deregister, leave the country, and then come back and start over. If you are living in Germany, you're registered here, and you're just going to Spain for 30 days or something, no, don't deregister your address. If you deregister and you have a permit to stay here, that kind of like is not valid anymore once you deregister. So we would suggest not to do that. If you have a very specific case that you want us to go over and give you examples, then you can always email us too. The length of time on a permit that you can travel is
6 months.
6 months.
So your permit, even if it says it's valid for 2 years, it can become void before that.
Yeah.
One would be if you deregister and you leave the country. At that moment, the permit, no matter what it says on the document, doesn't hold up anymore.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you keep your registered address, but you leave for more than 6 months, also your permit is void at that moment. Question is always, will they notice it? But you're playing with fire at that point.
Yeah. We just had this this week, actually. Someone that left and was gone for, not a client, someone we just talked to, was gone for a year and didn't deregister, didn't inform anyone. Yeah, so longer than 6 months. And it's really, they say like at the 6 month period. So anyone that's traveling for almost 6 months, come back before the 6 month mark. And the question is why you're leaving. If you're going to school, if you're moving, to take a job somewhere else, if your lifestyle is moving to that other country, then that's an issue too. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Oh, got my list here. Okay. How long does it take for a permit card to be issued or printed? Varies, I would say, between different cities. Approximately 4 to 8 weeks at most. We're seeing some cities, once you go in for the final approval, and that means giving them the biometric data, they take your fingerprints, you give them a passport photo, you pay for the permit card. On that day of that appointment, they will order your permit card. Within a few weeks after that, you will get this fancy German letter in the mail with some scratch off, PIN codes, and you're going to be confused as what this is, but that's really your sign to say your card's almost ready. What's happening during Corona times is a lot of offices will actually process the card. When you get the PIN letter, they'll get the permit card, they process it, and then they will mail it to you. But they will tell you at the time of your appointment if you need to come back and pick it up or if they'll mail it to you directly. So, but roughly, I would say 4 to 8 weeks at most with that. Good. Okay. Let's see. Next question for you.
Can you explain the difference of a German embassy and the Ausländerbehörde? Very easy. The Ausländerbehörde is within Germany. The German embassies are all around the world in different countries. If you technically can apply it both, but the embassy only issues a visa. And this is a important legal difference that most people get wrong because it's quite confusing. The German embassy issues a visa. That's a title that allows you to enter Germany for 3 to 6 months. The Ausländerbehörde, the foreigners office in Germany, issues a residence permit or a permanent residency, but not a visa. And this residence permit is valid for however long you're getting it, but it could be much longer than those 3 to 6 months that you get from the embassy. And so there are some countries that always have this extra step. So for instance, if you're coming from Russia, you first have to go to the German embassy. From the German embassy, you get a visa. With that, you can enter Germany, and then you can apply at the foreigners office to get your residence permit and stay a year, 2 years, whatever. some other countries, for instance, the US, UK, the so-called 8 friends, they are allowed to enter Germany directly and apply here at the foreigners office and skip the embassy altogether. So if you're a citizen of one of those 8 friends, those are, can we get them together? US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia.
You
I know
said Australia
I said
twice.
Australia twice. Okay, let's go back. 4. US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Israel, UK.
That's 8.
That's 8. I think we got them. Don't quote me if I miss one, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
That's good. Yeah.
So if you're a citizen of those, just come into Germany without a visa in most cases, and then just apply here.
Yeah. And what happens is, we'll take US, for example. So US citizen, US passport holders can come into Germany. They get a stamp in their passport, and that's your sign that you're here, you're in the country, and that's when that 90-day period starts. So you have those 90 days to get everything lined up to apply for your permit. Okay. So if you were, like Jana said, to get a visa, it's an extra step, it's an extra hassle. There's a lot of miscommunication between embassies and local authorities. So if you don't need to do that, then we highly suggest to do it when you're here. Okay, I hope that clears up the difference. Let's see. Okay, do I need to show a German bank account to the visa office? No, you don't. If you have one, that's great if that's where a majority of your money is. However, keep in mind for applications for the permit, you have to show back at least 3 months. So if you just opened a German bank account, transferred all your money, that's great, but you still will have to go back a few months to show them previous statements so they can get an average idea of what you have or had in your bank account. So you do not need it, especially first time. But if your renewal come time, most people will already have a German bank account, then you'll show your statements at that point. Okay, we're almost done, but if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat box. That would be helpful. Otherwise, let's just get to the next one. Does my CV resume need to be in German?
Not necessarily. So it will depend on the job. Some jobs are open to English language, others are not. As an English teacher, it should be in German. It should be in English. It could totally be in English. But I don't know, if you apply as an accountant in Germany, then probably it should be in German. Depends on the job.
Yeah, for example, English teachers, you don't need it in German. I mean, some schools will ask if you speak German, but at the end of the day, you're teaching English. It's okay for your CV to be in English.
As an IT consultant, typically it's okay in English.
Yeah.
Most people in that field speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really will be an individual decision.
Yeah, individual thing. So I guess look at the type of job you're doing, what you're trying to do. Is it for an international company? Is it for a German-based company? Is it in English? So those things. But majority of like freelancers doing English type work, you do not need a CV in German. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll wrap it up in the sake of time. Should I try a TEFL or should I take a TEFL course prior to moving to Germany? If you want to be an English teacher or a language teacher in Germany, then we do recommend taking a TEFL course. It's not something required, but it is a nice CV builder. Schools do look for it. I think it's really good for you personally as a teacher to prepare yourself, especially if you've never taught before, to go through the training for a TEFL program. I went through and researched the heck out of it when I went in 2014 to get my TEFL program because I wanted to teach English, and I went through International TEFL Academy. So I've done the research. I can assure you they come highly recommended. I think what's great about them is they do a lot of pre and postgraduate support. So they will really help you with a lot of things, but it's going to help you prepare to be a better teacher. you're moving to a new country. It's a new, language. It's new. Maybe for a lot of people, it's a new career. So doing a TEFL course is really going to help you with that process. Did we get it right? That was like 2 minutes of speaking. I did right at 8 o'clock. Awesome. Okay, so
last chance. If you have any questions, type them now or hold your peace until the next Q&A.
Okay. Well, we won't keep you. Thank you as always for joining. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. Your questions are great. Keep them coming. We host these once a month. We'll post on our website the next one. And hi, Felix. So we will talk to you guys, soon. Our client call is next week for clients that are on. We'll do a kind of private call for, more questions and answers. But we're good.
Awesome. If you haven't done so, again, I know I repeat myself, like and subscribe. And of course, you can always email us at info@expertlauncher.com.
Yay. Bye,
Take care,
everyone.
guys.
Take
Bye.
care.